International Hot Rod Association campaign, the World Nationals. The sign says it all. Welcome to Club Norwalk, the country club of drag racing. Bill Bader's Norwalk Raceway Park, site of the World Nationals, and far and away the most user-friendly facility in all of drag racing. Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Barsha, along with ESPN analyst Ted Jones. Welcome to Norwalk. Now, at any other track, Ted, we talk about the points battles and so forth, but here at Norwalk, you got to talk about the racetrack.
That's because it is state-of-the-art, Bob. Bill Bader keeps it improved all the time. One of the more outstanding differences here at NRP, well, the sportsmen have their own side of the racetrack. There's about 800 of them over there. But over here where we are, it's the pro side. They have their own private return road and everything, and the pros really like that.
No question about that. Our coverage of these World Nationals is brought to you by Precision Gear. When your rear end is on the line, depend on Precision Gear. We'll be back with Pro Stocks ready to go. Stand by for more from Norwalk. We're just moments away from quarterfinal action in Pro Stock. But first, to get us up to date, here's Brett Kepner.
Gentlemen, each and every year, the IHRA AC Delco Ohio Lottery World Nationals shatters records. 1996 continues the tradition. Pro Modified Eliminator had to be the most spectacular of them all. 43 race cars trying to qualify for 16 available positions, and as you might expect, it resulted in the quickest field ever. 6.67 seconds just to qualify for the field. That was again led by Scotty Cannon at 6.54 seconds. Pro Stock Eliminator was a quick one with Robert Patrick, who was long overdue for a #1 qualifying spot, leading the field. 6.80 seconds, the quickest runs of the summer tour, and the whole field was anchored by a 6.90. But the big news came in the supercharged funny car ranks. It took a 6.17 second run just to qualify, and it was led by Bob Newberry on an incredible record-breaking pass that we'll look into in depth later on. No matter how you look at it, the points battles are now going to have to be determined. I mean, somebody's going to have to come out of this particular event with an advantage if they expect to hold it to the end of the year. And with the points race as close as it is in Pro Stock, in Top Fuel, that's what's going to make this race a tough one. Bob Barsha, what are the weather stats?
Well, Brett, the weather certainly won't make it tough. A little warm at 86 degrees, but nice high barometric pressure, engine tuner. Now let's take a moment for a word about technology. Here's Brett Kepner with a track fact.
Just about everybody who watches Pro Modified Racing knows that you have two options, supercharger or nitrous oxide injection, right? Wrong. As of the 1996 Snap-on Tool Series, the International Hot Rod Association became the first drag racing sanctioning authority to permit electronic fuel injection in Pro Modified or a professional category for that matter. And here is the first machine that is actually using it. Harold Martin out of Detroit, Michigan has been a pro-class campaigner for decades, but he's the first man to actually take advantage of the rules revision that allows something other than the archaic carburetor system that is still used in Pro Mod and Pro Stock Eliminator. Now, the electronic fuel injection on this car is not directly controlled by a computer. Indeed, the EFI system works that way, but it doesn't help the nitrous oxide injection part of it. In fact, Martin's initial use of the nitrous system is actually through the carburation, and then about a third of the way down the run, the EFI is gradually brought in. But one thing's for sure, the EFI works a lot better than the carburetors because the tire shake the team experienced initially made it almost impossible to get down the track. But they figured it out here at the World Nationals, and this thing ran 6.63 seconds in qualifying and is now in round 2.
No wilder class in drag racing than Pro Modified, and there's the king of Pro Mod, Scotty Cannon, supervising the Killer Red Mater. We'll be back. Welcome back to Norwalk Raceway Park. Bob Barsha, Ted Jones, and Brett Kepner with you. We have Pro Mods in the staging lanes at these World Nationals. First, let's meet this week's Precision Gear Crew of the Week. When your rear end is on the line, depend on Precision Gear. Here's John Lundberg.
Bob, this week's Precision Gear Crew of the Week starts here with a scene of some incredibly wild graphics. In 1995, Tommy Gray ran a very nice, very quick, very fast, but very plain Chevrolet Corvette. He has changed the game this year because residing in this trailer now is a wildly graphically painted 1938 Chevrolet. Does the race car combination work? We're about to find out.
So I first run it past my crew, they all laughed at me. And then after a couple weeks of explaining why I come out with this image, they all said, well, we'll be all right if we can run good. If not, we're going to get laughed at. So we went to Darlington, won it, and that started the whole deal.
It's real exciting. The fans love it. You hear them scream and holler after the burnouts are done and everything. When you get back here, we're a little bit torn. We have to go back and make sure that all the fans are happy, selling T-shirts and hats, and then we also have to maintain our regular job. So it kind of tears us both directions, but it's still very exciting. The fans can't believe how wonderful this car is. We'd love to have them come. You know, Tommy signs autographs all day long. That's what it's about for us. I mean, making people happy.
Well, there's 4 of us in my crew. My dad, Tom Gray, Sr., part owner of our business. Jim Saul, he's our crew chief, and Steve Schumann, he's basically another crew chief. He handles the clutch.
Now, they, being a rather small crew in terms of numbers, they travel with you most places you go?
Oh, everywhere. Jim flies in, he's from Orlando. Steve's right from our hometown in Baltimore.
You guys are several hundred miles apart. Not only is Pro Modified Drag Racing an information gathering business, it's also an information sharing business. How do you guys manage that?
A lot on just talking things out. You know, this is all common sense, mostly racing, and what you have to do is just, you know, from Tommy's point of view, he'll come up with an idea, he'll throw it at me, I'll toss back at him what I think the significant things are from that, and between the two of us, we usually come together with a pretty good plan. Then we take it to Tom Gray Sr., and he gives us his point of view, and that kind of, with the 3 of us, it works out pretty well. We have 3 heads put together to come up with what usually is the best decision.
The Fridge was such a conservative, clean-looking vehicle, and the Undertaker is so outlandish. The aftermarket says that the appearance of a guy's car, and particularly if it's race car, is a reflection of who he is. Which one are you?
Well, deep down, racing-wise, we're the Undertaker, because that's what we plan on doing, is undertaking.
The name of the car is Undertaker. Its driver, Tombstone Tommy Gray, who finished 5th in the world in 1995 in IHRA Pro Mod competition. With this automobile and the excellent crew he has assembled, Tombstone Tommy Gray will be burying the competition for many years to come. For Precision Gear and Crew of the Week, this is John Lundberg.
All right, thank you, John. Good luck to Tommy Gray and crew this weekend. Now, we told you that you'd get a look at Scotty Cannon. There he is in the near lane, but look fast. 4 times this year he has gone up against Pat Moore. He did it in the first round of Pro Modified here at Norwalk, and he lost. Pat Moore strapped a tree on him, a 5:12 reaction time. Cannon went 6:69 more, 6:71. He flat out drove him. That's all there is to it. 5th meeting between these 2 guys this year, twice in the finals. Scotty Cannon, the 4-time IHRA Pro Mod World Champion, has won once. Pat Moore has knocked him off 4 times now. Man, what a race. On to the quarterfinals, and there you see Pat Moore, who vanquished Scotty Cannon, the top qualifier in the first round, but he's going backwards. Mechanical problems, he's being pushed off. And that'll mean a solo for this guy, Harold Martin. We met him earlier during the track back with Brett Kepner, and you saw the name of one of his supporters on the side of the transporter, Thomas Hitman Hearns, the boxing legend. Tommy Hearns used to drive the IHRA circuit. As a matter of fact, he totaled a Corvette down a Bristol dragway a number of years ago. Martin will take it easy, just a quick launch and shuts it down. Why? To save the motor. Evidently, he feels that's more important than picking up lane choice. He will obviously not get lane choice if nothing dramatic happens elsewhere in the round. But Harold Martin is through into the semifinals. On to our next pair. Near lane, the man you just met a moment ago, Tommy Gray. In the far lane, Donald Fegley Jr. Fegley has been really running as of late. This guy came out of the sportsman ranks. He's on a tear. He's going to upset Tommy Gray. Incredible. Fegley beat him off the line with a 423 and then runs a 672. Listen to this. Tommy Gray, 666, and he lost. And he also went off the end of the racetrack there. The cornfield beyond. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. We've seen some interesting action out there in the cornfield. Our next pair is Tony Pontieri from Bolton, Ontario, Canada, and Mike Janis from Lancaster, New York. Nearly equal off the starting line. Janis swerves a little bit now and is going to be upset. Pontieri picks up the win, 665 to Janis's 672. Man, we are seeing carnage. Our numbers 1, 2, and 3 qualifiers are now gone. In the near lane, Shannon Jenkins. He can go. He's number 2 in the points right now. The number 4 qualifier up against Carl Moyer.
Moyer, plenty tough. The Chevrolet dealer from Ankeny, Iowa, has put a whole shot on Jenkins. Can he pull it out? No. Jenkins comes up with the number 663 to Moyer's losing 670.
Here's a look at our brackets for the semifinals of Pro Mod. Tony Pontieri and Shannon Jenkins will have lane choice against their opponents when we get to the semis. But first, we've got the hardest accelerating race cars on the planet, Top Fuel. There's points leader Jim Bailey. Going slow now. He'll be going quicker in a moment. Back at Norwalk Raceway Park, we've talked about all the good things Bill Bader does to make his racetrack fun for spectators and racers alike. We'll give you a little taste of it. The Northwestern College Night of Fire featuring, among other things, jet cars. Dick Rosberg and Bill Mateo going at it right there. But the king of all jet engine-powered vehicles has to be Bob Motz's unbelievable jet-powered semi-truck.
This thing actually runs 200 miles per hour in the quarter mile. And only
Mod and Top Fuel still to come. Remember what Doug Herbert said about never shutting down? Remember that. We'll be back. Parachute on her Top Fueler. Like many of the top drivers, she likes to perform that chore herself. We'll see Top Fuel in just a moment. I tell you, you got to watch Shirley when they're warming up the engine in her rail and that smile comes across her face. Over on the start line, we are ready for the semifinals of Pro Modified, and our first pair will be Don Fegley Jr. against Tony Pontieri.
watch Don Fegley. He is absolutely wired into that tree. Remember, he upset Tommy Gray earlier in the program. You saw that with that 4:23 reaction time.
Don't often see the number 14 qualifier still in the show. That's Pontieri, and what a reaction time for Fegley.
Unbelievable, a 4:02 reaction time. It's over, folks. That's it. Don Fegley, a 6:63, stopped Tony Pontieri 6:64, but it wasn't that close. A 4:02 reaction time to a 4:86.
On to our next pair. There's Shannon Jenkins in the car that carried Tommy Mooney to the World Championship last year, going up against Harold Martin. You can hear them up against those rev limiters. Wow, what a hole shot for Harold Martin. As a matter of fact, it's so great.
He turns on the red light, Bob. You can't do that. Give the win to Shannon Jenkins.
I was about to say Jenkins got left, but he didn't. The other guy beat the tree.
Notice on the left side of your screen, you'll clearly see the red light coming on by a bunch.
Martin took a shot at the tree, hoping to hit it perfectly, but he came up about a 1/10.5 short. Now it's... Well, we have our Top Fuel finalist. Before he went out to the finish line, however, Brett stopped in Don Fegley's pit.
1 year ago, Don Fegley was the darling of IHRA's top dragster sportsman eliminator category. But now his professional category fate rests in the hands of this man, engine wizard Bob Bach, who's making the final adjustments, hoping to get his 706 cubic inch power plant on par with that of Shannon Jenkins in Fegley's first ever final round. It's ironic that here at the World Nationals during this event, Fegley's long-standing top dragster records fell to his ex-arch rival David Price. But rest assured, now that he's in a championship dash in Pro Mod, Don Fegley has definitely graduated from sportsman to true pro.
You bet he has. We'll be back. Lottery and AC Delco World Nationals presented by Ethanol. Oh man, this Pro Stock World Championship is going to go right to the last pass of the last weekend. The finals of Pro Modified. Shannon Jenkins is backing in after his burnout. This is Don Fegley Jr. We saw his engine man working hard in the pits. We'll see who's got the combination right now.
Pressure is on Shannon Jenkins. With Scotty Cannon going out in the first round, Jenkins could make a significant move with a victory right here at Norwalk.
Advantage off the line goes to Don Fegley in the far lane. Jenkins is out on him. Can he hold him? Yes.
Jenkins ETs him a 6:58. 208 miles per hour. I'll tell you, he is lucky. Fegley has been wired to the tree. Hey, Fegley, he doesn't want to stop. Bobby just keeps going right off the end of the track. No injury or problem.
We talked to you about the cornfield. Pat Donovan in a top sportsman car went well into the corn last year. Watch this pass. Shannon Jenkins. Remember what Bob Newberry said about the air getting better when the sun goes down? You saw Jenkins using all of it. Here's Fegley's problem. No shoot out the back. The brakes alone aren't going to get the job done. But as you can see, he managed to get the car stopped well short of the corn. course, the farmer cut down the corn. He's wise to drag racers.
As you can see directly behind you there, when they try to outrun you, they go to great lengths.
That's bad, isn't it? I'm telling you. I seen his chutes one now, and I said, oh, Lord, there he goes.
But you had other things to think about. 6:58. I mean, just unbelievable performance today.
Oh, Barney just won't do no wrong. This old car, I'm telling you, it's full and power. I mean, everything just worked perfect.
Towards Don Fegley's scene of the crime, but he turned back. No problems there. And now the piece de resistance, the climax of every drag racing weekend, Top Fuel Final. World champion Doug Herbert against former world champion Shirley Muldowney. It doesn't get any better than this, to coin a phrase. Let's take you back a year ago. In the far lane, Doug Herbert. Near lane, young Del Warsham getting a baptism of fire. In the far lane, Herbert hasn't won, right? No. The engine explodes, cuts down the tire. Remember what Doug Herbert said about never shutting off? Well, now Doug Herbert is back in the Top Fuel Final, up against Shirley Muldowney, and this should be great fun.
Both of these cars are capable of about the same ET. It's going to be reaction time. Shirley has him off the line. A 460. Shirley Muldowney pulls it out with a 520. Listen to this. Doug Herbert, a 519. She beat him cleanly off the starting line.
Let's take another look and watch the front wheels bounce and wave in the air. Both drivers working hard, stepping on it slightly just off the pad. You saw the flames hesitate. 5,000 horsepower at work. Win light for Shirley Muldowney, her third straight. Ron Tobler and the crew go crazy. Here's Brett Kepner with Shirley.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, history has been made at the World Nationals as the driver you see removing the helmet and the safety gear now lays claim to one of the most significant records in IHRA racing. A record that only two people had ever achieved in history before, one of them an arch rival, Don Garlitz. That record is 3 consecutive national event wins. Both drivers in and out of the throttle on the run, but like I said, this one is history.
Love you, babe.
Good one.
Thanks for being such a champ.
Only 2 people in history, 3 in a row.
Really?
Now you're in the list.
God, was I afraid of him.
Both of you pedaled
What
at
happened up
exactly the same moment.
Unbelievable. And it picked that front end right up and set it down.
And I don't know if Doug had the front end problem, but like I said, you both lifted at exactly, you can watch the replay and see the header flames go out at exactly the same time and come back
From
on.
where I sat, as Mike Kopchak says, it was a pretty thing.
It was that and more. We'll check the damage to the point standings in just a moment.
Another points lead today. It's not over yet. As you can see, there's a 3-way race right there between Doug Herbert, Jim Bailey, Shirley Muldowney with 2 events to go. And it's even tighter than that in Pro Stock between Yoke, Yeoman, and John Noble. Taking a look at Pro Modified, Scotty Cannon is in danger. Shannon Jenkins only about 700 points behind Scotty. Once again, with 2 events to go, that's practically nothing. The same holds true for Vaughn Smith as he begins to close in on Jimmy Rector.
Our next stop will be the Fall Nationals from Bristol, Tennessee. Be sure to be with us. Our coverage of the World Nationals has been brought to you by McGuire's Car Care products. McGuire's, for that brilliant finish. I'm Bob Varsha for Ted Jones and Brett Kepner. Congratulations to all of our champions. So long from Norwalk, Ohio.